Wan Li stood in the center of the massive chamber and felt very small. Around him, creatures from 1,000 different worlds filled the seats that rose up like a stadium. Some had tentacles. Some had scales. Some looked like they were made of rock or crystal or living water. All of them were staring at him and the 4 other humans who stood behind him. The chamber was built from some kind of clear material that showed the stars outside. They were far from Earth, far from any human colony. This was Station Omega 7, a place built in empty space where no single species could claim it as their own. This was where the galaxy made its big decisions. Wan wore his best suit. It felt stupid now. Next to beings that glowed with their own light or had armor that looked like metal, his simple black suit looked like nothing. Nakim stood behind him. She was the smartest person Wan knew, but even she looked nervous. Her hands were shaking just a little. Next to her stood Tay Park, a ship captain who had seen more of space than most humans. Then there was Jisung, who studied alien life, and Rino, who was supposed to understand alien cultures. The 5 of them were Earth's best hope. Right now, that did not feel like enough. A massive creature at the front of the chamber raised one of its claws. The noise in the room died down. This was Chancellor Vexther, the leader of something called the Draxian Empire. He looked like a dragon that someone had mixed with a lobster and made bigger than a truck. "We will now hear the petition from the human delegation," Vexther said. His voice came through a small device that turned his words into something Wan could understand. They asked to join the Galactic Trade Consortium. They asked for access to our jump gate technology. They asked to be treated as equals among the stars. Before Wan could speak, sounds filled the chamber. Clicks and hisses and buzzing noises. The translator in Wan's ear told him these were laughs. They were laughing at him. A creature that looked like a floating jellyfish made of gas spoke up. "These soft skins have barely been in space for 200 years. They have not even left their own solar system properly. They fight wars over rocks and liquids they could make in laboratories. They kill each other over ideas that cannot be proven true or false. They are babies playing with fire." Wan took a deep breath. He had prepared a speech. He had practiced it 100 times. "Members of the Council, humanity has made great progress in a short time. We have colonies on Mars and Europa. We have cured diseases that killed millions. We have created art and music and literature that shows the depth of our culture. We have done all of these things for 10,000 years, a voice said. It sounded like wind chimes. The translator said it came from something called the crystalline chorus. "You are not special. You are simply late." More laughter. Juan felt his face get hot. He wanted to shout at them to tell them they were wrong. But that would just prove their point, would not it? That humans were too violent, too emotional, too primitive. A cat-like creature with blue fur and 6 legs yawned. Its teeth were very sharp. "I am Ralthus, of the Felixian Empire. I think we are wasting time here. Look at them. They are weak. They live such short lives. 80, maybe 90 of their years, if they are lucky. They will be dead before they learn anything useful. And before they die, they will probably start a war, or blow something up, or cause problems for the rest of us." "That is not fair," Na Kim said from behind Juan. Her voice was sharp. "You do not know us. You have not given us a chance." "We know enough," Ralthus said. "We have read your history. We have seen your wars. We have watched you poison your own planet and then spend centuries trying to fix it. You are a danger to yourselves. Soon, you will be a danger to others." Juan tried again. "Yes, we have made mistakes, but we have learned from them. We are better now than we were 100 years ago. We are better than we were 10 years ago. We are still learning and growing. Is that not what matters? That we try to improve?" "No," said the gas creature Clath. "What matters is what you are, and you are violent. The data does not lie. In the last 1,000 years, your species has been at war for over 900 of them. You have used weapons that could destroy your whole planet. You have killed billions of your own kind. This is your nature. This is what you are. You're asking for a chance," Juan said. His voice sounded desperate now, even to himself. Just a chance to prove we can be better. We can contribute to the galaxy. We have ideas and technology, and you have nothing we need, Vexter said. His voice was not mean. It was worse than that. It was bored. I am sorry, Ambassador Lee, but the facts are clear. Humanity is too young, too violent, and too unstable to join the galactic community. Perhaps in a few thousand years, if you survive that long, we can talk again. I call for a vote, Ralphus said. I move that we permanently ban the human petition. I move that we quarantine their solar system for the next 500 years. They can stay in their small corner of space until they grow up or destroy themselves. Either way, they will not be our problem. Seconded, said Cloth. A vote is called, Vexter announced. All in favor of permanent quarantine of the human system, make your vote known. Lights appeared around the chamber. Blue lights for yes. Red lights for no. The blue lights were everywhere. They filled the room like stars. The red lights were few and far between. Juan watched his dreams die. He watched humanity's future shrink back down to one small solar system. No trade, no new technology, no friends among the stars. Just Earth and Mars and a few moons, alone in the dark. The final count appeared on a screen. 1,847 votes for quarantine. 143 against. 10 abstentions. It was over. Nakeem made a small sound behind him. Rino was crying quietly. Tay Park just stared at the floor. Vexter started to speak again. The motion passes. Humanity will remain in quarantine for a minimum of 500 standard years. This council is wait. A voice came from the upper level of the chamber. Everyone turned to look. A human man was standing up in the visitors section. He was tall and thin, with short black hair. He had a small device in his hand. It was Tay Park. No, wait. Juan looked behind him. Tay was still there. This was someone else. Someone who looked like Tay but was not him. Who are you? Vexter demanded. This is a closed session. Visitors do not have permission to speak. The man smiled. It was not a happy smile. My name is Wuhan. I am a human. And before you throw us out of the galaxy forever, I think you should see something. I think you should know what you are really voting on. Guards started moving toward him. Big creatures with armor and weapons. Let him speak, Vexter said. The guards stopped. Let him say his final words before we remove him from this station. It will make no difference to the vote, but perhaps it will give him some peace. More laughter from the chamber. They thought this was funny. They thought this was some desperate last attempt that would fail. Wuhan activated the device in his hand. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, huge and bright. It showed a planet, blue and green and white, covered in clouds and oceans and land. It showed Earth. You have judged us, Wuhan said quietly. You have decided what we are. That is fine. That is your right. But you have not asked the important question. You have not asked why we are this way. You have not asked what made us into what we are. We do not care why, Ralpha said. Nature is nature. You are what your evolution created. Exactly, Wuhan said. We are what our evolution created. So let me show you what our evolution had to work with. Let me show you what shaped us. Let me show you our world. He pressed another button. The video began to play. The hologram grew larger until it filled the center of the chamber. Everyone could see it clearly now. Earth rotated slowly in the display, looking peaceful and beautiful from space. White clouds moved across blue oceans. Green and brown landmasses sat beneath them. It looked like a perfect world. Wuhan stood in the visitors section with his arms crossed. He did not look nervous at all. This is Earth, our home. Before you make your final decision, I want you to understand something. Your scientists studied our planet. They wrote reports, but they missed something important. Something that explains everything about us. You read the reports, Clath said. The gas creature's voice sounded annoyed. Your planet is classified as a Class 4 death world in our system. Unpleasant but survivable. Many species come from similar worlds. Class 4, Wuhan repeated. He smiled again, that same cold smile. Your classification system goes up to Class 7, correct? The worst possible worlds. The ones where nothing should be able to live. That is correct, Vexler said. What is your point? My point is that your classification system is wrong, or at least it does not go high enough. Because Earth should not be a Class 4. After you see this, you might want to add some new categories. Ji-sung stood up from the human delegation area. She was shaking, but her voice was clear. I am a xenobiologist. I have studied the homeworlds of 40 different species in this chamber. I've read your surveys. I have seen your data. And I can tell you with certainty that not one of you understands what kind of planet we come from. This is a waste of time, Ralphus said. We have already voted. Then what harm is there in watching? Tay Park asked. The real Tay Park, still standing with the delegation. If you have already decided 5 more minutes will not change anything, but if you are wrong, if you have judged us without understanding, then you owe it to yourselves to see the truth. Bexler was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. Continue, but make it quick. The hologram changed. It zoomed in on Earth's atmosphere. Numbers appeared next to it. Let's start with the air we breathe, Ji-sung said. She walked closer to the hologram. Earth's atmosphere is 21% oxygen. To most of you, oxygen is a dangerous substance. It is highly reactive. It causes fires. It breaks down materials. It is literally burning things at a slow level all the time. Many of you need special suits to breathe our air because it would damage your bodies. She gestured at the humans in the chamber. We breathe this every second of every day. We evolved to use one of the most corrosive gases in nature as our fuel. What you call dangerous, we call normal. The hologram shifted again, showing a diagram of Earth's gravity. Gravity, G continued. Earth has 1.0 G by our measurement. By galactic standard, that is 1.3 times the normal baseline. Every moment of our lives, we are carrying 30% more weight than most of you. Our bones are denser. Our muscles are stronger. Our hearts work harder. A human child has a stronger grip than an adult of many species in this room. Kim stepped forward now. When we visit other worlds, we have to be careful. We have to remember that things are more fragile than they seem. We have to use only a fraction of our strength. Because what is normal for us would break what is normal for you. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some of the aliens were leaning forward now, paying attention. The hologram changed again. This time, it showed tiny organisms magnified thousands of times. Bacteria and viruses squirming and multiplying. Microbiology, Nakim said. Earth has an estimated 1 trillion species of microscopic organisms. Many of them want to kill us. From the day we are born until the day we die, we are under constant attack from things too small to see. Our bodies are battlefields. Our immune systems are armies that never stop fighting. She pulled up more data. Most of you come from worlds with stable, controlled ecosystems. Clean environments. Few diseases. When we met the Felixians, we had to spend 6 months in decontamination because the bacteria we carry naturally would have killed them. Not because we are dirty, simply because we evolved in a war zone, and they did not. Ralphus shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The video changed again. This time, it showed animals. Big animals. Dangerous animals. A lion taking down prey 3 times its size. A crocodile lunging from water. A bear standing on its hind legs, towering and powerful. Predators, Ji-sung said. These are some of the creatures we evolved alongside. We were not the biggest. We were not the strongest. We were not the fastest. We were prey for thousands of years. We survived by being smart and working together. We made tools and weapons and fire. We learned to hunt the hunters. But we never forgot what it felt like to be hunted. The image shifted to show more. Animals, hippos, elephants, buffalo, sharks, jellyfish, snakes, spiders, insects. And these are just some of the things that could kill us, Tay Park added, his voice hard. We share our world with creatures that have venom, teeth, claws, strength, and size. We are not the dominant species because we are the toughest. We are dominant because we refuse to quit. Now the hologram showed weather. Massive storms with lightning flashing inside them. Hurricanes that looked like they could swallow cities. Tornadoes that ripped apart everything in their path. Our atmosphere is a weapon, Nakim said. A single hurricane produces more energy than 100 nuclear bombs. Tornadoes can throw cars through buildings. Lightning strikes Earth 8 million times per day. We build our homes and cities anyway. When the storms destroy them, we rebuild. When the floods come, we recover. We do not have a choice. Rino spoke for the first time. She was small and young, but her voice carried across the chamber. Most of you come from stable worlds. Your weather is predictable. Your seasons are gentle. You have never seen your home try to kill everyone at once. We have? Many times, and we are still here. The hologram shifted again. This time, it showed the Earth's crust breaking apart. Volcanoes erupting with massive explosions. Earthquakes shaking cities to rubble. Tsunamis washing over coastlines. Geological activity, Jisung said. Our planet's surface is broken into pieces called tectonic plates. They move. They grind against each other. They create earthquakes and volcanoes and tsunamis. The ground beneath our feet is not stable. The world itself moves and breaks and reforms. We have had extinction events from volcanoes alone. Most of our species have died off multiple times. And yet life comes back. We come back. The chamber was very quiet now. No one was laughing anymore. The video showed Earth's sun. Then it showed radiation levels. The numbers were high. Very high. Our star is trying to kill us too, Nakim said. It shoots radiation at us constantly. Deadly radiation. We evolved melanin in our skin as biological shielding. But it is not perfect. We can develop cancer just from standing outside for too long. We invented sunscreen and protective clothing and shade. We adapted. We survived. More images appeared. Deserts where the temperature reached 56 degrees Celsius. Frozen places where it dropped to minus 89 degrees. Temperature, Rino said. That is our natural range. From minus 89 to plus 56. And humans live in both extremes. We have populated the hottest deserts and the coldest ice fields. We build homes and cities and lives in places that would kill most of you in minutes. Why? Because we can. Because we do not quit. The hologram showed plants now. Beautiful plants with bright colors and interesting shapes. Then it showed what those plants did to human skin. Rashes, burns, poisoning. 95% of Earth's plant life produces toxins, Jisung said. They evolved defenses against being eaten. Most of your food would poison us. Much of our food would poison you. We had to learn which plants would kill us and which we could eat. We made mistakes. Many of our ancestors died testing food, but we learned. We always learn. Wuhan pulled out something from his pocket. A small red vegetable. A pepper. He bit into it. His eyes watered slightly, but he chewed and swallowed. This is called a chili pepper, he said. It contains a chemical weapon called capsaicin. It evolved to stop animals from eating it. It causes pain. It triggers all our danger responses. And we eat it for fun. We add it to food because we like the way it feels. He smiled at the shocked faces around him. We eat things that hurt us because we learn to enjoy the pain. Because on Earth, if you only eat things that do not fight back, you starve. The hologram faded. The chamber was silent. So yes, Wuhan said into that silence. We are violent. We fight wars. We struggle with each other. We make mistakes. But now you know why. Now you understand what shaped us. We come from a world that attacks us every single day in 1,000 different ways. We are not broken. We are exactly what we needed to be to survive. He looked around at all the alien faces. You judged us without this context. That is your right. But your judgment is incomplete. And before you lock us away for 500 years, you should at least know what you are really voting on. The silence in the chamber felt heavy. Thousands of alien eyes stared at the humans. Some looked confused. Some looked thoughtful. A few still looked dismissive, but even they were not laughing anymore. Vexter shifted his massive body. This is all very dramatic. But what does it prove? Yes, your world is harsh. Many worlds are harsh. This does not change what you are. You are still violent. You still fight each other. A difficult environment does not excuse difficult behavior. You are right, Wanli said, stepping forward. It does not excuse it, but it explains it. And there is more. The video is not finished. Wuhan pressed another button on his device. The hologram came back to life, but this time, it did not show Earth's dangers. It showed humans. Ordinary humans doing extraordinary things. A human jumped into freezing water, breaking through ice to pull out another human who had fallen through. The rescuer's skin was turning blue from cold. They were risking their own life for a stranger. Firefighters ran into a burning building while everyone else ran out. The building was collapsing. They knew they might die. They went in anyway because someone was still inside. Medical workers in thick protective suits treated patients with a deadly disease. The suit had a tear in it. The worker knew they were exposed. They kept working to save others. Engineers stayed inside a nuclear reactor that was failing. The radiation was killing them slowly. They knew this. They stayed anyway to prevent a meltdown that would kill millions. They died a week later. The reactor was saved. A mother worked 3 jobs, sleeping only 4 hours a night to feed her children. Her hands were rough and scarred from work. She smiled when she came home because her children needed to see her smile. This is also what we are, Reno said quietly. You saw our wars. You saw our violence. But you did not see this. You did not see that the same environment that made us fight also made us protect each other. Because on Earth, alone means dead. Together means survival. The video shifted to show space missions. An old spacecraft called Apollo 13, damaged and dying in space. The crew inside using tape and plastic bags and anything they could find to fix their life support. They made it home. The Mars colony in its early days. A disaster had destroyed half their habitats. 20 people died. The survivors buried their friends and then went back to work the next day because giving up meant everyone would die. Europa Station, after a decompression accident. 23 people killed in one terrible moment. The remaining crew had a choice: go home or stay and continue the work. They stayed. They rebuilt. They kept going. You evolved on kind worlds, Reno continued. Her voice was getting stronger now. Worlds where the weather was predictable, where the ground did not shake, where the air was gentle and the sun was not trying to burn you. You had time to develop philosophy and art and peaceful cultures before you faced real threats. The hologram showed alien homeworlds, beautiful planets with stable climates, gentle rains, warm suns, safe environments. We had no such luxury, Reno said. Earth tried to kill us from the moment our ancestors stood upright. We had to be tougher than our planet or we would die. We had to be smarter than our predators or we would be eaten. We had to work together or we would fail. These were not choices. They were requirements for existence. Ji-Sung pulled up more data. Let me show you something else. We have analyzed the evolutionary pressures on 40 different intelligent species. Do you want to know what we found? She displayed a chart. It showed different planets and different species and different environmental challenges. On average, intelligent species in this council evolved on worlds with environmental challenge ratings of 2.3 out of 10. Earth's rating is 8.7. Next highest is the Draxian homeworld at 4.1. Do you understand what this means? Cleth's gaseous form flickered. It means you should not exist. No species can evolve intelligence under such pressure. And yet here we stand, Tay Park said. Impossible, but real. We should have died out 1,000,000 years ago. We did not. We adapted. We changed. We learned. When the ice came and covered half our planet, we made fire and clothing and shelter. When the ice left and the floods came, we built boats and cities on stilts. When disease killed half of us, we developed medicine. We never stopped adapting. The hologram changed again. This time, it showed human history, but not the wars. It showed cooperation, villages forming, cities growing, strangers helping strangers, humans from different parts of the world meeting and trading and learning from each other. Yes, we fought each other, Huan Li admitted. We fought over water and food and land and resources. But do you know why those resources were so important? Because Earth gave us nothing for free. Every drop of water had to be found or cleaned. Every piece of food had to be hunted or grown in hostile soil. Every bit of shelter had to be built strong enough to survive storms that could destroy metal and stone. He paused and looked around the chamber. You call us violent. We call it competition for survival. When two groups of humans met and both needed the same river to live, they fought. Not because they were evil, not because they wanted to hurt each other, but because losing meant death for their children, for their families, for their entire tribe, Nakim added. And even then, even when resources were scarce and survival was uncertain, we cooperated more than we fought. For every war in our history, there were 1,000 villages living in peace. For every battle, there were 1,000,000 acts of kindness. The cooperation is what let us survive. The fighting is just what you focused on. The hologram showed the space age, humans launching rockets, building space stations, landing on the moon, sending probes to other planets. It showed the failures too, the explosions, the crashes, the deaths. We lost people learning to reach space, Park said. His voice was rough with emotion. Hundreds of people died in accidents and failures and disasters. And every time we stopped and mourned and learned and tried again, we never quit. Because quitting is not in our nature. Earth taught us that quitting means death, Wuhan spoke from his position in the upper gallery. You want to know what humans are? We are the species that looked at space. At the vast, deadly emptiness that kills in 1,000 ways, and said, let's go there. We are the species that saw a moon with no air and decided to walk on it. We are the species that plans to visit other stars even though the journey will take longer than a human lifetime. Why? Because it is there. Because we can. Because we do not quit. The video showed current human colonies. Mars, red and dusty and cold. Europa, frozen and dark under Jupiter's radiation. Titan, with its methane lakes and nitrogen atmosphere. Small groups of humans living in sealed habitats, working in hostile environments, building futures on worlds that wanted them dead. These colonies are not easy, Kim said. Life there is hard, dangerous. One mistake means death. But we do it anyway. We send our people to live on worlds that hate them because that is what we have always done. We live where we are not wanted. We thrive where we should not survive. Ji Sung pulled up comparative data. Most species in this council did not colonize hostile environments until they had advanced technology. The crystalline chorus waited until they had perfect environmental controls. The Felixians only settled comfortable worlds similar to their home. The methane collective stays in their preferred atmosphere. This is normal. This is smart, she smiled. Humans colonized the Arctic with stone tools and animal skins. We moved into deserts with no water. We built cities in places where hurricanes destroy everything every few years. We settled in valleys where volcanoes erupt. Why? Because that was the land available. We adapted to it instead of waiting for it to adapt to us. Renault walked closer to the hologram. You see violence and chaos in our history. We see problem solving. We see adaptation. We see a species that refuses to be limited by its circumstances. Every war taught us something. Every disaster made us stronger. Every challenge that should have destroyed us instead made us better at surviving the next challenge. The hologram shifted one more time. It showed Earth from space again, that beautiful blue-green marble. But now, overlaid on it were numbers. Statistics. Data. 5 major extinction events in Earth's history, Jisung said. Each one killed between 70% and 95% of all life on the planet. Our evolutionary ancestors survived all 5. How? By being adaptable. By being tough. By refusing to die, she pointed at the data. 12 ice ages in the last 2 million years. Dozens of supervolcano eruptions, hundreds of major impact events from asteroids and comets, countless plagues and diseases. And through all of it, human ancestors survived. We survived because we could eat almost anything. We survived because we could live almost anywhere. We survived because we worked together. Tay Park's voice was quiet but firm. You asked what we are? I will tell you. We are survivors. That is our core nature. Not violence. Not chaos. Survival. Everything else, good and bad, comes from that. We fight when we must because losing means death. We help each other because alone means death. We never quit because quitting means death. Death is the only thing we truly fear, and even then we face it when we have to. Wan Li looked directly at Chancellor Vexter. You judged us as primitive and violent. You saw our worst moments and decided they defined us. But you did not ask why those moments happened. The silence that followed was different from before. It was not the silence of dismissal or boredom. It was the silence of beings thinking, reconsidering, questioning what they thought they knew. Chancellor Vexter stared at the empty space where the hologram had been. His massive clawed hands gripped the edges of his seat. When he finally spoke, his voice was uncertain in a way it had not been before. This cannot be accurate. Your data must be exaggerated. No sentient species could evolve under such conditions. The pressures would be too great. Intelligence requires stability, safety, time to develop. This is established fact. Jisung stepped forward. She held up a small device. These are the survey reports from your own scientists. They visited Earth 3 years ago. They took measurements. They collected samples. They documented everything. I am not showing you our data. I am showing you yours. You just did not look closely enough at what it meant. She pressed a button, and data flooded across multiple screens in the chamber. Temperature records. Atmospheric analysis. Geological surveys. Biological samples. All of it marked with the official seals of the Galactic Survey Course. Everything I showed you is verified, Jisung said. Your scientists saw it all. They just classified Earth as Class 4 because that was the highest rating they thought was possible for a world with intelligent life. They did not consider that maybe their classification system was wrong. That maybe intelligence could evolve even in hell. Cloth. Gaseous form swirled anxiously. But if this is true, if your world is truly this hostile, then you should be more violent than you are. You should be unstable, aggressive, dangerous to everyone around you. Why are you not? Because we chose not to be, Renault said simply. That is the part you are missing. Yes, Earth made us tough. Yes, it made us fighters. But it also taught us that working together is how we survive. A human alone on Earth dies quickly. Humans together can survive anything. So we learned cooperation. We learned empathy. We learned to help each other because that is what kept us alive. She pulled up more images. They showed humans throughout history helping each other, building together, creating together. For every war, there were generations of peace. For every conflict, there were countless acts of kindness. You only looked at our worst moments because those are what got recorded in dramatic ways. You did not see the quiet, everyday cooperation that actually defines us? New voice spoke up from the council. It was a being that looked like a tree with crystals growing from its branches. The translator identified it as a member of the Peaceful Confederation. I voted against the humans, the being said. I thought they were too dangerous. But now, I am uncertain. If what they say is true, if they evolved in such conditions and still developed ethics and morality and cooperation, then perhaps they are not dangerous. Perhaps they are remarkable. Remarkable is not safe, Ralthus said. The cat-like Felixian stood up on all 6 legs. Even if we believe their story, even if we accept that their world shaped them this way, it does not change the risk. They are still stronger than most species. They still have violent instincts. They still have the capacity to cause harm. Park laughed. It was not a happy sound. You think we do not know that? You think we have not thought about this every day since we reached space? We are terrified of ourselves. We know what we are capable of. That is exactly why we are so careful. Why we have so many rules. Why we teach our children about peace and cooperation from birth. He walked toward Ralthus's section. You evolved on a gentle world. You never had to question your nature, because your nature was never dangerous. We question ourselves constantly. Every human alive knows that we have the capacity for violence. We carry that knowledge like a weight, and we choose every single day to be better than our instincts. Nakim added, you want to know our greatest achievement? It is not our technology, or our art, or our science. It is that we have gone 200 years without a major war. 200 years of choosing peace when violence would be easier. 200 years of working together despite our differences. We did not do this because it came naturally. We did this because we decided it was right. The chamber erupted in discussion. Alien voices mixed together in hundreds of languages. The translators struggled to keep up. Some were arguing. Some were agreeing. No one seemed certain anymore. Vexter raised his claw for silence. It took several minutes for the noise to die down. Let us assume for the moment that everything you have shown us is true, Vexter said. Let us assume that Earth is indeed a world of exceptional hostility. Let us assume that this shaped you into what you are. What then? Why should we allow you into the galactic community? What do you offer us besides risk? Wan Li had been waiting for this question. We offer you what we have always offered ourselves. Survival skills, adaptability, the ability to thrive in places where others cannot. You have regions of space you call the dead zones, areas too hostile for colonization. Worlds with high gravity or toxic atmospheres or extreme radiation. You avoid these places because they are too dangerous. Ain't paused. We can go there. We can live there. We can work there. Give us your worst worlds, and we will make them productive. Give us your most dangerous jobs, and we will do them. We are not asking for charity. We are offering a trade. Your technology for our labor, your knowledge for our resilience. Nakim stepped forward. The frontier regions beyond the galactic rim, the systems near unstable stars, the planets in contested zones where the environment is as much a threat as any enemy. You need these places explored and developed, but you cannot send your own people without enormous cost and risk. We can do it. This is what we are built for, Wuhan spoke from above. You think you are protecting yourselves by quarantining us, but you are also limiting yourselves. There are things in this galaxy that you cannot reach, cannot use, cannot claim because they are too dangerous for your people. We are offering to be your pioneers, your explorers, your workers in hell itself. Because hell is just another word for home to us. A different voice spoke up. It came from a small being that looked like liquid metal in a roughly humanoid shape. I represent the Merchant League. We have many interests in hazardous areas. Mining operations in high radiation zones, salvage work in unstable regions, exploration of extreme environments. These operations are expensive because we must use robots and remote systems. Humans could do this work directly? Yes, Juan said. With proper equipment and training, humans can work in environments that would kill most species. We already do this in our own system. We have people working in radiation levels that would be lethal to many of you. We have colonies in temperature extremes beyond your comfort zones. We adapt. It is what we do, the Merchant League representative flickered thoughtfully. This is valuable. Very valuable. The cost savings alone would be significant. And if humans are as resilient as they claim, the safety margins would be better than our current systems. They're strong too, another voice added. This one belonged to a being from the Construction Guild. If they truly evolved in 1.3 times normal gravity, their physical strength would be considerable. They could do manual labor that requires heavy machinery for our people. Ralthus stood again. You are talking about using them as workers. As tools? This is not a partnership. This is exploitation. No, Juan said firmly. It is trade. We get access to your technology, your knowledge, your markets. You get access to our labor in places you cannot easily go. Both sides benefit. That is how trade works. We are not asking for pity. We are not asking for special treatment. We are offering our strengths in exchange for what we need. That is fair, Renault added, and we would not be limited to labor. We have scientists, artists, engineers, thinkers. We can contribute in many ways. But yes, we can also work in your dangerous places. We can be your specialists in hostile environments. We can fill a niche that currently no one fills. Is that not valuable? The being from the peaceful confederation spoke again. I am troubled by another thought. If we quarantine them, if we lock them in their system for 500 years, what happens? They continue to develop on their own. They become more advanced. And when they inevitably break out, because I suspect these humans would break out, they will do so without any ties to us. Without any reason to cooperate, we will have created a powerful, isolated, and potentially hostile force instead of a cooperative partner. That is a fair point, Vexter admitted. A species this resilient will not stay confined forever. They will find a way. The question is whether we want them to emerge as friends or as strangers who owe us nothing. Quas's form flickered nervously. But if we accept them, and they become dangerous, if they start conflicts or cause problems, we will have invited the threat into our home. And if we reject them, Nakim countered, and they become dangerous anyway, we will face that threat without any relationship. Any understanding, any leverage at all. At least if we work with them now, we can build trust. We can establish cooperation. We can create ties that make conflict less likely. Tay Park's voice was hard. You are afraid of us. That is clear. But you should ask yourselves, what is more dangerous? A human who is your partner, who has a stake in the galactic community, who benefits from peace? The chamber buzzed with activity as council members turned to each other, talking rapidly in their own languages. The translators could barely keep up. Juan stood in the center of it all, forcing himself to stay calm. His heart was pounding. Everything depended on the next few minutes. Nakim leaned close to him. That was risky. Demanding an immediate vote could backfire. Or it could work, Juan whispered back. If we give them time, they will find reasons to be afraid. Right now, they are thinking. Let's make them decide while they are still thinking. Vexter raised his claw again. The noise slowly faded. The floor is open for discussion before the new vote. Does anyone wish to speak? Ralph stood immediately. I wish to withdraw my earlier motion for quarantine. A ripple of surprise went through the chamber. The cat-like being looked uncomfortable, his blue fur bristling slightly. I still have concerns, Ralphus continued, but I have realized something. We judged these humans based on fear. We saw their strength and called it threat. We saw their history and called it evidence of danger. But we did not see the whole picture. We did not understand the context. He gestured toward the humans. If their world truly forged them in the way they describe, if they survived conditions that should have killed them, then they are not primitive or violent by nature. They are survivors who learned to fight because fighting was required. And if they are now choosing peace, choosing cooperation, despite those instincts, then perhaps they are more civilized than we are. We never had to choose. Peace came naturally to us. They have to work for it every day. Ralphus sat down. The chamber was silent with shock. The being from the crystalline chorus hummed thoughtfully. We have analyzed the data presented. Mathematical models confirm that Earth's environmental pressures exceed our previous understanding. The humans should not exist. The fact that they do suggests an evolutionary resilience beyond standard parameters. This is scientifically significant. It would be a waste to quarantine such a unique species. The liquid metal being from the Merchant League flickered to life. From an economic perspective, The potential benefits outweigh the risks. Humans offer labor capacity in environments we currently cannot exploit. Access to hazardous region resources would increase galactic productivity by an estimated 12 to 18%. The financial argument supports acceptance. More voices joined in. Some argued for acceptance. Some still expressed concern. But the tone had changed. They were no longer dismissing humans as primitive children. They were discussing them as equals, as potential partners, something worth considering seriously. Clath's gaseous form swirled in an agitated pattern. I still worry about the violence. Yes, they have context for it. Yes, they are trying to change. But what happens when they are frustrated? When they face opposition? When things do not go their way? Will they revert to those violent instincts? Tay Park spoke up. Do you know what happens when a human gets frustrated? Most of the time we complain. We vent to friends. We work harder. We find another approach. Yes, sometimes we fight. But mostly, we do what everyone else does. We deal with it and move on. He walked closer to Class's position. You are imagining us as monsters waiting to explode. We are not. We are people who have learned hard lessons about violence. We know what it costs. We know what it destroys. We avoid it when we can, not because we are weak, but because we are smart enough to know that fighting is expensive and cooperation is more effective, a Wuhan added from above. You want to know the real difference between us and you? You avoid violence because you never learned to fight. We avoid violence because we know exactly how to fight, and we know it should be the last option. We have seen war. We have lived through it. We know what it does to families, to cities, to entire generations. We choose peace because we understand the cost of the alternative. A new voice spoke. It came from a small, furry being that had been silent until now. I am from a species that experienced a great war 2,000 years ago. It nearly destroyed us. We recovered, but the memory remains. I understand what these humans are saying. They carry the same knowledge we carry. The knowledge that survival requires cooperation. The knowledge that destruction is easy, but building is hard. The furry being looked around the chamber. I was uncertain before, but now I think we should accept them. Not despite their violent history, but because of what they learned from it. They have earned their peace. They have worked for their cooperation. Species like that, species that choose to be better than their nature, those are the species worth knowing. Juan felt something shift in the room. The energy was changing. The fear was fading. Understanding was taking its place. The being from the peaceful confederation stood. I change my vote to acceptance. These humans have shown us something important. They have shown us that even the harshest circumstances can produce not just survivors, but ethical beings who choose cooperation. If we reject this, we reject the possibility that difficult origins can lead to positive outcomes. We reject hope itself. More voices joined in support. The momentum was building. Vexter watched it all carefully. Then he stood. His massive form dominated the chamber. I have been chancellor of this council for 40 years. In that time, I have seen many species petition for acceptance. Most were unremarkable. Some were promising. None were like this. He looked directly at Juan. Humans, you have challenged every assumption I had about intelligent life. You come from a world that should have killed you. You survived pressures that defy our models. You developed intelligence, ethics, and society despite environments that should have made cooperation impossible. And now, you stand before us, asking not for charity, but for the chance to prove yourselves through hard work. I judged you harshly before. I saw weakness where there was strength. I saw chaos where there was adaptation. I was wrong, and I am not often wrong. He turned to the council. Members, we have a choice. We can quarantine these humans out of fear. We can lock them away and pretend they do not exist. Or we can accept them as partners. We can give them a chance to show us what they can do. We can benefit from their unique strengths while helping them grow beyond their difficult past. I know which choice I prefer, Vexter said, but the decision is yours. The Chancellor called for the vote. All in favor of accepting humanity into the Galactic Trade Consortium, with full access to jumpgate technology and membership privileges, indicate now. Lights appeared around the chamber. Blue for yes. Red for no. The blue lights spread like wildfire. They filled the room, shining from nearly every seat. Juan watched them multiply, unable to breathe, unable to think. It was happening. It was really happening. The red lights were few, scattered, insignificant, compared to the sea of blue. The final count appeared. 1,924 votes for acceptance. 67 votes against. 9 abstentions. Juan's legs felt weak. Behind him, he heard Nakeem make a sound that was half laugh, half sob. Rino was crying openly. Park just stood there with his eyes closed, looking relieved. Ji-sung was smiling so wide it looked like her face would break. The chamber erupted in sound. Some of it was celebration. Some was discussion. All of it was loud. Vex single quotes Thor approached Juan directly. The massive being lowered his head slightly, a gesture of respect. Ambassador Lee, on behalf of the Galactic Unity Council, I formally welcome humanity to the Galactic Trade Consortium. I also offer you my personal apology. We judged you without understanding. That was wrong, Juan bowed deeply. Thank you, Chancellor. We will not disappoint you. We will prove that your faith in us is justified. I believe you will, Vexter said. Then, more quietly, tell me, Ambassador, what do you call a species that evolves on a death world, survives multiple extinction events, reaches space against impossible odds, and then asks to join the galactic community peacefully? Juan thought about it. Human. Vexter made a sound that might have been a laugh. We have a word for it in my language. It translates roughly to inevitable. Because after seeing what you have shown us, I realized something. Humans were always going to reach the stars. The only question was when, and whether we would be waiting as friends or strangers. The Chancellor turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. You mentioned the dead zones, the high radiation systems, the extreme gravity wells, the toxic atmosphere planets. I want to discuss contracts for exploration and development. If humans are truly as resilient as you claim, we have much work for you. We are ready, Juan said. Just tell us where to go. As Vexter walked away, Rin rushed up and hugged Juan. We did it. We actually did it. Not yet, Juan said, but he was smiling. This is just the beginning. Now we have to prove we deserve it. Park joined them. We will. Earth taught us how to survive. Now we will show the galaxy what survival looks like when it is given a chance to thrive. Wuhan came down from the visitors section. The other humans surrounded him. That was a hell of a risk you took, Juan said. Coming in here without permission? Showing that video? Wuhan shrugged. Someone had to do it. You were playing by their rules, being polite, accepting their judgment. Sometimes you need someone to break the pattern, to show them the truth they do not want to see.